In this video, I'll show you how to do in-text citations, quotations, and how to avoid plagiarism. So first things first, at the very basic, when you're doing in-text citations, you'll need the author's last name and the year, and that's going to be common across citations. Now, if you have one author, as you can see here, the citation will just be the author's last name followed by a comma, space, and then the year of publication, all of that closed in parentheses. And note that this is coming at the end of the sentence and that the period is coming after the citation, so it comes after that last parenthesis. Now, every time you cite this article, it will look just like this. So every time there's one author, you just need to write the author's last name and the year. If there's two authors, it'll look just like this right here. So you've got the first author's last name, the second author's last name, between them an ampersand, and then followed by the year, just like before. And just like with an article that only has one author, this is how you will cite this article every single time. So if there's two authors, it will always look just like this. Now, if you have 3 to 5 authors, that's where things get a little bit different. So with 3 authors, you can see it's similar to before. You have first author's last name, second author's last name, third author's last name. The ampersand will always come before the final author, and then comma, year. So that part's similar. But the next time I cite this, I don't need to write out all of the authors again. So instead what I'll do is I'll use the words et al., which means and others. So you still need to write the first author's last name, but then just follow that with et al., and there's a period after the all there, and then a comma, space, the year, all in parentheses, just like before. So when you cite an article that has 3 to 5 authors the first time, it'll look like this one up here. And then when you cite it a second time, you can use et al., and it'll look just like this. Now, if you have a study that has 6 or more authors, listing all of the authors, I mean, that could take an entire line, so it's kind of a waste of space. So what you can do is just skip listing it and just go straight to the et al. So you've got the first author here, et al., just like before, and that's what you'll do with 6 or more authors. And again, like before, notice that the period is going to be after the entire citation, not before it. Finally, with parenthetical citations, if you want to have 2 or more studies in one parentheses grouping, then what you can do is separate the studies with semicolons. So you can see here, this is your regular old citation. Here's an et al., and here's one with 2 authors. These are all normal. The only difference now is everything's in one spot, so you have semicolons between them. And also note too that these studies are going in alphabetical order. So Haddock comes before Madison, comes before Stayano. Now another way you could cite things in text is by actually writing out the words. So instead of writing about the article and then doing the parenthetical citation at the end, you could start off a sentence by saying, research by the authors supports or states this. The key things here to remember is that you're not going to use an ampersand, you're going to write out the word and then you always want to have the year in parentheses immediately after that final author. So it looks similar down here too, so you'll have Harris et al., the year, argued, and so on and so on. Now for doing direct quotations, it's pretty straightforward. You'll have the quoted text in quotation marks, followed by the citation, and the citation will be the same as any other time. So if this was 3 authors, you would have the first 2 authors an ampersand and then the third author, followed by the year. And now this time the year will be followed by the page number. So after the year, comma, space, p period, space, and the page number. Now in general, you want to avoid using quotations in your papers. So the point of a paper is to put things in your own words, and if you have quotations every other paragraph, those aren't your own words. So it just doesn't look good. It looks like you haven't really thought about how does everything integrate together? How can I synthesize all this together? It just looks like you're just kind of copying and pasting and throwing quotation marks around some stuff, and you don't want to do that. Most research papers that you read, they don't have any quotations, and if they do, they might have one or two. So only use a quotation if absolutely necessary. And if you are going to quote, it needs to be less than 2 sentences long. So avoid any lengthy quotations if you have to use them. Now, the reason we do all of this stuff is to give credit to the original authors. And if you don't give credit to the original authors, that's called plagiarism. So at its most basic, plagiarism is using other people's ideas or words without giving them credit. So if you look at, again, the example of the paper that I've written here, these couple sentences talk about how exergame play is about a light to moderate intensity, increases heart rate and energy expenditure, and these are the studies from which I found that information. So I'm going to give them credit because that's not work that I did, that's work that they did. And so now if someone's reading this paper and they want to know more about those studies, they have the authors' names and the years, they can scroll down to the reference list and find out more information. So this video showed you how to use in-text citations, how to do quotations, and how to avoid plagiarism and give credit to other people's works.